Just look at that photograph. It's a real photograph of a real situation. And what you will see is the girl, the woman, with the child on the back, head loading. Then you will see the sister, also head loading. And of course, you see the men on the bicycle.
As you know, the topic is promoting gender equality in infrastructure development in Africa. You may very well ask, why is this so important? It is important because women constitute about 50% of the human capital in Africa. And it is important for us, as we invest in infrastructure, to make sure that that infrastructure is fit for purpose for that 50% of our human capital to use. Secondly, there are some sectors, in fact, where women carry more than a disproportionate load of economic development, such as in food production. Up to about 90% of food production in Africa is, in fact, done by women. And therefore, you can see that the leverage effect of infrastructure, which is appropriate for them to use, would actually have huge returns for us.
Infrastructure is critical for economic growth and poverty reduction. Transportation, water and sanitation, energy, and irrigation particularly benefit women disproportionately. In recognition, multilateral development financing institution support to the sector has been increasing over the last few years. In order to ensure that women and men equally benefit from and contribute to infrastructure investment and services, multilateral development banks, MDBs, have sponsored the African Regional Workshop to mainstream gender equality into infrastructure, policies, and project designs, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation. The workshop, held in Addis Ababa from March 22 to 24, was co-hosted by the African Development Bank and the World Bank.
As Shireen said, soon after I joined the World Bank, we launched a gender action plan, Gender Equality as Smart Economics. The action plan was between 2007 and 2010, and it ended in December of last year, and now we have launched a 3-year roadmap between 2011 and 2013 that is really to further institutionalize the gains that we have achieved with the Gender Action Plan. The Gender Action Plan is called Gender Equality as Smart Economics.
The workshop brought together government officials, staff of MDBs, and other key actors to discuss key issues and challenges, explore good practices for replication, and identify key actions for accelerating gender mainstreaming in energy, irrigation, transport, water, and sanitation.
Designing any kind of urban transport project to take into account issues of safety, security for women, mobility, and the different uses of transport that women may have as opposed to men, securing and putting aside a certain number of jobs, as quotas in a sense, in construction for women, interventions that can be included in any kind of urban transport project, whichever region.
Gender into projects trying to make life easier for women and still men take over. I think we should look at a level deeper at power differences between men and women and ensure that women are empowered to take charge and take the benefits of this improved infrastructure. I agree with you, Jai, that gender issue is highly relevant with regard to the use of biomass in households, and it's directly visible as well. But I think we also have to bear in mind that the large majority of energy projects, for example, focus on like primary production and energy, distribution, transmission, and energy efficiency of power plants, etc.
As women, we really need to begin to look and say, how do we begin to own our economy? How do we begin to think big? Because if we are not out there, we're going to be worried about the small things that are important, but we need to be able to be out there making the big decisions so that we can make those smaller decisions also.
Then, concerning the issue of the percentage of households that fetch water from the water kiosks,
in many areas, when we put a water kiosk, you find that becomes the only water source from the service provider. So the majority of the people would use the water kiosk. Though they may get water from other sources for other uses, but water for drinking and cooking, they get it from the kiosk.
In Ethiopia, we looked at a project called MEREC, which helped people develop small-scale water conservation, forest conservation, small dams for irrigation, and basically help them to regenerate the forest, agriculture, and provide water and etc. So these communities are actually able to build their resilience much more.
But we would really appreciate now feedback on how the workshop has gone along. What are the substantive changes in the future that you would want to make to the workshop? So we would like to hear from you both the things that you have found good from the workshop and the things that you would want, that you think could be improved.
We're all going back with valuable tools, new ideas, and we also had the opportunity to do networking. So really I congratulate the organizers. I just wanted to stress one thing. I noticed that there are countries that have conducted gender audits and also come up with gender action plans. But the missing link is, they do not have the funding to implement those action plans. So it's really very important for the donors and the countries to put money aside if we really want to move the gender mainstreaming ahead. Thank you very much.
The comment that I'd like to make is the need to move to scale. The MDGs are about scaling up and ensuring that we don't remain with our small little projects and pat ourselves on the back. That whether it's a bank project or a government project or a non-governmental organization project, that you're very pleased with yourself for your own activity. We need to have our eyes looking outward to maximize the synergies that we've created within this workshop, but also that we can create at country level so that our best practices really are able to move to